Can peace truly be achieved in a conflict that has spanned decades? Today, we delve into the recent turn of events in the Israel-Gaza conflict. In the throes of a crisis that has been building for years, the situation in Gaza has taken a drastic turn. The Israeli military has issued a dire warning to the United Nations. They claim that 1.1 million Palestinians in Gaza need to relocate, a move that could potentially save countless lives. However, the reality on the ground is far from simple. Caught in the crossfire are the citizens of Gaza, whose plight is compounded by the actions of Hamas. This organization, known for its militant approach, has been preventing these same citizens from evacuating Gaza City and the surrounding areas. The reasons behind this move are as complex as the conflict itself, intertwined with a history of tension, mistrust, and cycles of violence. And violence there has been. Over a single weekend, a rampage by Hamas resulted in the staggering loss of 1,300 lives, marking it as the worst attack on civilians in Israel's history. Each life lost is a reminder of the human cost of this conflict, a cost that continues to mount with each passing day. To date, the authorities in Gaza claim that the death toll has exceeded 1,500 Palestinians. These are not just numbers, but lives cut short, families torn apart, dreams extinguished. Each one is a stark testimony to the urgent need for resolution and peace. But amid the chaos and the bloodshed, there is also a glimmer of hope. International players are beginning to take notice, to raise their voices, to call for an end to the violence. The world watches on, holding its collective breath, praying for a ceasefire, for negotiations, for peace. As the death toll continues to rise, with Gaza authorities claiming over 1,500 Palestinian fatalities, the world watches on with bated breath. How does the world respond to this escalating crisis? What are the sentiments of key global players? This scene brings us to the international stage, where the voices of world leaders echo in the corridors of power. Let us begin with Russia. Vladimir Putin, famously known as the invader of Ukraine, has stepped forward, cautioning Israel against a ground attack on Gaza. His stern warning resonates with an underlying concern for escalating violence and its potential global ramifications. Moving on, the United Nations has been actively involved in the crisis. The UN's primary focus has been to restore the fuel supply to Gaza, a region grappling with power plant shutdowns, electricity cuts, and water treatment shutdowns. The international body's commitment to humanitarian aid is evident in their relentless efforts. In the midst of this tension, key figures have emerged, each with their own perspectives and motivations. One such figure is Matthias Schmal, the Gaza director of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. His controversial comments regarding the precision of Israeli airstrikes stirred the pot, inciting protests in Gaza and criticism from Hamas. Despite the backlash, his voice added a different dimension to the discourse. The international community's response has largely been a mixture of concern, criticism, and calls for calm. Among these voices, the United States stands out. In the face of escalating violence, the US sent an envoy to urge for calm, demonstrating their commitment to diplomacy and peace. However, not all reactions have been diplomatic. Hamas's actions, for instance, have drawn the ire of many. Their prevention of the evacuation of Gaza City and the surrounding area has been met with widespread condemnation. These actions, coupled with their recent rampage, have added fuel to the fire, complicating efforts to mediate the situation. As we step back and look at the bigger picture, it becomes clear that the international response to the crisis is a complex web. With every statement, every warning, every call for peace, the narrative of the conflict is being shaped and reshaped. It's a high-stakes game on the global chessboard, with each move potentially changing the course of the conflict. The global community seems to be a chessboard, with moves and countermoves shaping the narrative of this conflict. The international perspectives on this crisis are as diverse as they are influential. And as we continue to monitor this situation, one thing is clear. The world is watching, and the world is responding. In an era where information is power, what role does media play in this conflict? And how does public opinion sway the scales? The influence of the media in shaping public perception cannot be overstated. It's through the lens of the media that most of us perceive global events, including conflicts such as the one unfolding in Gaza. The way these events are reported, the images shared, the voices amplified or silenced, all these factors contribute to how we understand and interpret the situation. The media has a responsibility to report accurately and objectively, to provide a balanced view of the events on the ground. In practice, this can be a challenging task, given the complexities of the situation and the differing narratives from each side. It's not uncommon for the same event to be reported differently, depending on the source. This is why it's critical for us as consumers of news to diversify our sources of information, to critically evaluate what we read, watch, and hear. Public opinion, shaped by this media coverage, plays a significant role in the conflict. It influences the actions of governments, the decisions of international organizations, and the strategies of the parties involved in the conflict. It can apply pressure, demand action, or call for restraint. Yet public opinion isn't monolithic. It varies across countries, societies, and individuals, reflecting different perspectives, experiences, and values. Internationally, public opinion can sway diplomatic actions and humanitarian aid. Within the nations involved, it can either fuel the conflict or push for peace. It's a powerful force, one that can be harnessed for constructive dialogue and progress, or misused to deepen divisions and prolong the conflict. As we navigate the sea of information, it becomes crucial to discern fact from fiction, to understand the true implications of this ongoing conflict. In the face of such adversity, one might wonder, what lies ahead for the people of Israel and Gaza? The situation is complex, with a myriad of potential outcomes. Some see the possibility of peace talks on the horizon, a silver lining in the cloud of conflict. Others, however, fear a further escalation as tensions continue to mount. Looking back to our interviews, we heard a range of predictions. Some voiced hope for diplomatic intervention, believing in the power of dialogue to heal the wounds of war. They envision a future where both sides can coexist, where the common good outweighs the desire for retribution. Others, however, expressed a more somber outlook. They foresee a continuation of hostilities, a cycle of violence perpetuated by deep-seated animosity and political maneuvering. Yet even among these voices there was a shared desire for peace, a longing for a day when the sounds of sirens and explosions are replaced by those of children playing and people going about their lives. The road to peace may be long and fraught with challenges, but hope persists. For the sake of the countless lives affected by this conflict, may a resolution be found sooner rather than later.